Welcome
back.
back, Stephanie.
We're back, bitches.
We're back to another episode of Are We Having Fun?
With brand new microphones for both of us.
Yeah, can you tell? I mean, it's just, I want to do ASMR.
Hello. Welcome to another episode.
How
I
it
think
all
we said that
started.
before.
Yeah.
I know.
Really? This is an ASMR episode. Our guest doesn't even know. Are we having fun? Hell yeah.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Kayla, and we're two best friends coping with life the only way we know how, one adventure and a cocktail at a time.
All right, guys. So today we have Kelly Rocklein, like Calvin Klein. That's what she said. A good way to say it. She's a creative director of a health and wellness company, leading creative strategy for paid media. She's also a proud college dropout. So props to that, because I wish I did that. Who's completely self-taught in everything she knows about creative strategy, digital marketing, and something really awesome. She actually started her own startup company called Rootly, which is a first of its own 100% vegan product discovery subscription service. So I can't wait to hear more about that. That's super awesome. But her main focus is on scaling her user-generated content, especially on Instagram. So a lot of good stuff that we can talk about, and we're excited to dive in.
Yay! Welcome, Kelly. Welcome.
Thank you.
And for those of you that don't know, because you probably don't, we went to high school with Kelly, but we haven't crossed paths in almost 10 years. So, I mean, we're almost nearing 10 years out of high school.
Oh my gosh, because the reunion is next year, right?
It's so crazy. So it's not like we're like, hey, can we do this favor? It was really like, it was a real pitch to get her on the show. So thank you so much for being here.
Of course, I'm very excited to be here. And like I said before, it's a blast from the past, so I couldn't turn it down.
Love it. Love it. So before we get started, we love sharing cocktails. And we're just going to share what we're drinking today. I'm not doing anything new because I have so many of these White Claw Surfs left. So I'm doing a little watermelon lime again. I'm really obsessed with that flavor. And Stephanie, what are you drinking?
I have Guava Cart, which is the brother to Mango Cart, if you guys have had that. I didn't know that they came out with a new flavor. It's across the room from me right now, but I will grab that at some point.
Ooh, we love guava. And then
anything
Kelly,
tropical.
Speaking of tropical.
Yeah, I want to see that packaging, by the way, because I've never heard of Guava Cart. But I'm drinking Topo Chico, a very big fan. Drinking their exotic pineapple flavor, but up next I have their strawberry guava, which I'm very excited for.
Ooh.
She has the second drink ready. She knows.
Double fisting, baby.
She knows what to do.
It's happy hour in some sense or the other for all of us. So I don't think it's 5 o'clock where any of us are, but
yeah,
you know, we can pretend.
I should be drunk by now. It's 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I have to catch up.
So we're just going to jump right into this episode. We've been having a lot of fun with our guests. They've been providing a lot of insight. And we know you're out in LA. Our last guest was in LA as well. So, I mean, it's just really fun to hear about things that are going on outside of our realm of life. You know, we're in 2 different time zones ourselves. So, yeah. So now we just need someone in mountain time zone, honestly.
Colorado. We need to find somebody there.
So I've been stalking you on social media. But I know you've just really made, I don't want to say made a name for yourself. Like, it's not about fame, but like you've really, really kind of carved your own path. And I just have always found that so inspiring because I want to talk a little bit about what you used to do, because it was really, when you left for LA, you were doing some really cool stuff, like almost right off the bat. And then you've grown your Instagram to how many people now?
Somewhere in the 50,000.
Yeah. So
wow,
I mean,
that's awesome.
You're just like a marketing genius, like basically. So,
My
you know,
clients say so.
She's like, oh, stop.
yeah, stop it. But no, I think you can provide a lot of insight, especially for people who want to use social media in their everyday life or their businesses, or if they're kind of like us that are going a more creative path. I think you will just be an amazing resource. So let's dive into what happened after high school. And you know, it's really funny because we played soccer together like ages and ages ago.
Yeah.
And to this day I'm like, yeah, you know, I used to play soccer. And like my boyfriend will make fun of me because he's like, stop living in the past, like you're not athletic anymore. I'm like, but the roots, they're there. But that, of course, that's what I remember. And then I remember Facebook was like the big thing when we were graduating high school. And you, instead of saying, you know, everybody was just like, I need to get into the best college. Like it was just such a big deal. And you were just like, fuck this. I want to find myself and I'm moving across the country. And I want to talk about how that experience was for you because I think even to this day, I have younger siblings and it's always like, what are you doing after high school? You know? So tell
Yeah.
me how that experience was for you.
So I'll, real quick as well. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually went away to school my senior year of high school. So I am a proud college dropout, but my senior year of high school, when all of my friends were applying to all of these really cool and exciting schools and flashy names, I knew that I wasn't able to afford to go to college. My mom is a single mother. She honestly just had been able to pay our way to be able to just put food on the table and have a roof over our heads as kids and in high school. So when I was a senior, I knew for a fact that I could not afford to apply to FSU, UF, any other Florida college. We didn't have any of like the Florida prepaid setup because I was originally from New Jersey. So going into, adulthood, I ended up figuring out the most affordable route, which was to go to community college. And so I actually moved up to Tallahassee and went to TCC for a semester. I was going to school for nutrition. That's something that I'm personally very passionate about for myself. Coincidentally, after my first quarter away, my mom ended up getting cancer. And I just remember in that moment knowing what was important and being away at school, even though it was exciting to play adult when you're 18 years old, I knew what was most important. And it was for me to go home and just be there with my mom. She's better now. She had thyroid cancer. She got her thyroid removed. So she's fine. But it ended up working out for the best moving back home because I kind of had a lot of time to like think about what was really most important in my life. And I did online classes for a few semesters. And I would say maybe technically halfway through my sophomore year of college, I kind of came to terms with the fact that I can't see myself being a nutritionist. I can't see myself going to chiropractic school. I can't imagine being a physical therapist. I can imagine doing those things, good things for my body, for myself personally, but I couldn't imagine a career in it. So
Yeah.
I actually made kind of like the bold decision to discontinue my schooling. Now, going into that decision-making process, I knew that I wanted to, one, make my mom proud, but I also didn't want to scare the living crap out of her as far as saying like, I'm discontinuing my schooling. So what I ended up telling her was that I decided not to sign up for classes this year. I'm taking a gap year and I'm going to work on building my portfolio from the comforts of my mom's home. At the time, she was renting a condo in Dr. Phillips. And so I had said, I want 1 calendar year I'll work part-time. I was tour guiding third party at Disney parks. And I was like, in my downtime, I'm going to build my portfolio for videography and video editing. And I hope to be able to get an opportunity to then move to LA. And so I
Heck
really
yeah.
tried to ease the news with her because I was like, this poor woman is just like, she wants to make sure that her children are better off than she was. Granted, had it not been for just this terrible outfall of a divorce on my dad's part, totally screwed my mom over financially. Like, so of course she wants to make sure that her kids are being set up for success. So I made sure to approach her in a much more easy fashion of I'm taking a gap year. But in my head, I knew I wasn't going back to school.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
Honestly, so much props to you. Just that whole
yeah.
story, like from everything you came up with, and then like your mom's cancer and everything, like you had your head on right, like you knew what you needed to do. And I think that's so admirable. So
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I
quick
appreciate
thing,
you
props to
saying
you.
that because, looking back, hindsight is 2020. But in that moment, I mean, I was being questioned by not my close family, because my mom had my back the entire way. She was very supportive, as were my brother and sister, but they were younger than me. So, they they gave
Yeah,
their
you're the one
support as they
leading. You're
will.
the one
But I'm the
leading the
oldest
way. Yeah.
sibling. Like, yeah, like I'm trying to put money on the table, not just for myself and for my future, but also for my family, as someone who is the largest income in the family, even still today. And so in that moment, I still remember, my best friends at the time, one of which was my boyfriend for, we'd been best friends for over a decade. And actually, funny enough, the reason why I decided to stop going to school so abruptly when I did was because he had been holding me back for as long as I can remember, as was my other best friend, who I'm also not friends with anymore. I'm not friends with her. But funny enough, it all worked out for the best. He cheated on me. And when he cheated on me, I was like, in that spiteful mood of like, you know what? You've been telling me that I need a college degree or else your family won't accept me. I'm gonna
Oh,
be wrong.
yeah.
Heck yeah. And
Oh my
look,
God.
back and better. And he's probably still
I'd
doing
like
the
to
Yeah.
same
see it
shit.
though.
Way better. Oh
I'd
my
like to see
gosh.
it though.
You know what though? It's
Heck
like
yeah, girl.
it's those hardest moments where you're just like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be powerful and I'm just gonna like do, like you said, those bold things. And I totally resonate with all that. Like, so Stephanie and I roomed together after I went through like similar, I thought I had to, go to UF, and then I got there and I was literally almost putting myself in the hospital, just so stressed, anxious, like at the doctor every week, like just it was so bad. But I was also studying like nutrition, health sciences, all that. And props to you for saying 2 years in that you're done with it, because
But
I the all of college, I was like, I have to stick this out or else I'm a quitter. Like, Stephanie saw me like at my worst, basically. Like we lived
but
together
also
and
we didn't even have money to go to college. Like
yeah,
we
yeah, we
we grew
didn't.
up like you. Like my parents
Yeah.
had to turn off the AC in the summertime because we couldn't afford it at some point. Like it's been the low of the low. And so I took your route. I was like, okay, community college. It's a no-brainer. I can stay at home.
Good.
It's cheaper. I was working full time at the time. So I was like, I could just pay for it myself.
Yeah.
Kayla couldn't afford it either. But
I was like loans. And now
I feel like you're so conditioned, like in high school, especially growing up in Dr. Phillips, it's kind of bougie and there's a bunch of rich
Totally.
kids everywhere. So
Mhm.
I feel like you're kind of conditioned to be like, well, it doesn't matter if I have to take out loans. I have to go to college. I have to go to UF because they're doing it. Because my
yeah.
parents think that should
Absolutely.
happen.
And it's really sad because I mean, as someone that didn't go to school, like I completely sympathize with anyone who does have student loans, and especially those with private loans, that even if the administration today were to eradicate student loans, those private loans will still exist. And so I have coworkers that I completely sympathize with who have six figures in student loan debt.
Yeah,
And it
it's
honestly,
crazy.
it could keep me up at night if I thought too long and hard about it, just because truthfully it creates this just generational gap when it comes to wealth. And at the time, like I said, I had people in my ear, friends very close to me who were saying, you're throwing your life away. You're never going to make a decent living without a college degree. I remember the owner of my mom's condo that she was renting from. He asked me what I was going to school for, who is an entrepreneur himself. And I told him proudly that, I discontinued my schooling for 1 year. I'm taking a gap year and I'm going to turn this, this whole vision that I have of videography and marketing or organic social, whatever. And his response was, what is your plan B?
Oof.
And I just remember sitting there being like, oh my God, this person who I really thought would relate to me and support me, he responded with, what the general response was, which is, what is your plan B though, if it doesn't work out? And at the time, I didn't know if it was going to work out or not, because this whole industry really I hadn't been aware of it. It also hadn't grown to the point that it is at now. So really at the time I was really just pushing forward with just this like crazy level of belief in myself, hoping that the next step I would take, there would be firm grounding. And at that point in my life, I didn't know. And I also didn't have backup for my family. So it was very scary. It was not easy. And it really didn't get easy until I would say 2 years ago. But we're working on a timeline here, so I won't jump too ahead.
Right.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about, okay, so you built your portfolio, you decided this is really what I want to do. I want to be creative. I want to make videos. And at the time, so this is about what, 2013, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, nearing when I stopped going to school, it was fall 2015.
Yeah. So the big thing there was Instagram was fairly new.
Yes.
Facebook
Videos were 10 seconds long on Instagram. That's how long ago
Oh
it was for
gosh.
anyone watching.
Yeah. Facebook was a way to keep in touch with your family. And then the big thing really was YouTube. That was the major like source of what we would call new media for anybody that's like not in the industry, in the entertainment industry. So you get your portfolio together, and I'd love to talk about how you decided to go to LA, the opportunity you got, and how you basically, like you said, made firm ground for yourself there.
Totally. So fall 2015 is when I tell my mom I'm taking a gap year. I am on the side part-time doing tour guiding for Disney. It was a third party. It wasn't with Disney, but that was my like income at the time, living at home with my mom. And I would get back from work and I would literally work on my portfolio from 8 p.m. till as early as sunrise the next morning.
And what did that, girl, what did that look like for you? Like, what was building your portfolio? What were you putting in it?
So funny enough, I didn't have any clients. This is also like very pre, like, oh, like I want to collaborate with this brand, like send me product and like pay me for it. It was like still very nuanced. So at the time, I just knew that I wanted to have a curation of work that I didn't even need to be paid for. I was obviously had my income taken care of, very low overhead, living at home. So what I would do is I would reach out to brands and they would send me free product in return for making a video. And I mean, these brands, I don't even think they exist nowadays. They were just so small. But what I would do though, is in addition to working with these D2C brands, so think like, I think it was like an iPhone portable charger, some like waist trainer, just like other random products like that I built a portfolio of. I also was doing like more lifestyle and like kind of like Jay Alvarez was really big at the time. And I just remember being so inspired by like all of his travel vlogs. So I was doing a lot of like personal video editing as well, just like adding to my portfolio, creating basically like these like very like easily consumable videos. In that sense, it was for the length of Instagram, which that was even pre-Instagram stories. So this is like 10-second videos, 15 seconds max.
Yeah.
So basically from September 2015 leading up to end of April 2016, I was building a portfolio of, again, not paid work, bartering for product, paired with also like my personal previous travels that I had done. And so I prepared this portfolio, and I don't have the quote handy, but I always think about how like, like everyone always thinks like, oh, the timing, like you're so lucky for this timing, but it's really like, you have to prepare. You have to be prepared in order to be ready for an opportunity that like could really set things off for you. And so in that case, for me, it was end of April, early May, and I see a listing for this company called PGI, Procter Gallagher Institution, and they were looking for a remote video editor and event videographer, where they would fly out a videographer to either Toronto, Canada, or to Tempe, Arizona, or to Los Angeles, California. And so this company specifically was really crazy that the opportunity came up because the head of the company, rest in peace, Bob Proctor, who is basically like the firm believer in The Secret and law of attraction, and basically just like, the power of positivity. And so I had my portfolio prepared. I did rounds of interviews, and I ended up getting my first contract within less than even a calendar school year. I had dropped out that, September, and I'm already getting a part-time contract for, at the time, I think it was $40,000. It was a big deal. This is the most money I'd ever seen in my life. And I was
That's
just
awesome.
I was like, oh my God, I did this with a portfolio that I hadn't even been paid for. And I just took on a part-time client that I get to work remotely for, to do like these really cool social media videos. And so that was enough money for me to be able to afford to move to LA, because that was the goal, was to move to Los Angeles with money. Of course, since I didn't have backup from my family to be able to pay for me, because, at that age, if a family has money, they're able to send their kid to LA to like build their dreams, rightfully so. If I had, in an alternate universe, kids of my own, I'd obviously want them to be taken care of financially if I could. But because that wasn't an option, I was like, cool, I have this contract, I have this part-time income, I can now afford to move to Los Angeles. Because the backstory to why I wanted to move to LA, outside of wanting to obviously expedite my career and learning curve, because I also was learning, keep that in mind. Anything that I know today was because I had a major learning curve from 2015 till probably 2018. But the reason why I chose LA was because social media was getting big. Instagram launched in 2010, and that was when this new world of influencers and social media was taking off. And I was studying these people who were making what I assumed tons of money. They were playing all these roles. I thought, how are they filming? How are they taking their photos? How are they planning their social media posts? Who's running their merch Instagram account? Who's helping them strategize on their YouTube videos? I realized very quickly that they had to have a team. And so what I thought was, well, now that I can afford to move to LA, I want to work in the organic social space. I want to work with YouTubers and Instagrammers. And at that time in my life, I thought that's what I really wanted. And so because of the contract that I got with PGI, I was then able to afford to move to LA.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
awesome. And then that obviously opened up a whole other world that you can come in contact with. Did you end up working with like a lot of YouTubers and Instagrammers that we would know? Like, are they like
absolutely 100%.
Wow.
And so when I first moved to LA, I had like one-off projects, but the goal was to network, to like get into that space. How you get into that space at the time, I didn't know. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I have this PGI contract. I'm making consistent money. At the time I was living in Venice, California. I was subleasing from like a mutual friend of ours. It was a 2-bedroom in Venice, California. There were 4 of us. 2 and 2. We were really just like making it work.
Do what you got to do.
$500 each rent. Like, we really made it work. So we were there for under 6 months, but before I moved to Hollywood. But I basically, moving to Venice, my goal was to network and build connections. And so over the course of, I would say, that calendar year, I moved to LA officially like summer 2016. That following year, after doing like my PGI contract, one-off projects for just like different clients that weren't, notable as far as influencers, I had a favor come my way. And it was a mutual friend of mine who he was working with Jake Paul. And so he was working with Jake Paul and Team 10. And he had texted me and said, hey, I'm supposed to be filming this Sprint commercial on Malibu Beach with a bunch of videographers for Jake's brand deal with them. I actually have to go film an interview with The Rock. LA things. And so he was like, it's not paid, but I know you're looking to like make your way in the space. So like, if you want like
names like that too.
Yeah, you can add it to your portfolio. And so it was, I think it was in May, and LA people call it gray May. So it was not beautiful. It was very rainy, very overcast, very cold for May on the beach in Malibu. Jake did this crazy stunt where he was, I'm sure you can still find it on YouTube, but he was on this like trampoline that was lifted by, I think, a helicopter, at least one, if not two. And he jumped from the trampoline into the ocean. But so while I was there,
just LA things.
I know.
Just LA. Like, hey, you know, like you want to go film Jake Paul while I go film The Rock with Logan Paul? Like, just the only city that this can ever happen in. But so going to that event, I got in really well with the people who work behind the scenes. A big reason why I've learned over the years that, you know, I've gotten these opportunities working with influencers is because I don't care who you are. Like, I will never fangirl. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to think. There was someone that I recently got excited over, but it wasn't a celebrity and it wasn't like an influencer. It was like a normal person. And I was like, I love what you're doing. I forget who it was, but it
probably like Dr. Jane Goodall or something. I mean,
yeah, like I'm like,
that's Kayla's fangirl.
Oh, really? But so I just like, instead of, because also another like whole LA joke is like, clout chasers, whatever, like they want to go talk to all of the like the very famous people, and I'm just like, don't want to be in that crowd. Who are the people behind the scenes, so I can like talk to like a normal person without having to fight through a crowd to have a conversation. So basically everyone runs this way to talk to Jake, and I go this way to go like chill in the parking lot.
You're like the crew members,
my kind of girl.
Totally. But so all that goes to say, I ended up connecting really well with a group of people there, one of which was actually Jake's assistant. And funny enough, like 2 months later, Jake ended up making her talent for Team 10. And so what that meant is that he grew her socials to then become an influencer for his company, Team 10. And so I got a text message from one of the people that I'd connected with from the event. And they had said, hey, like, you know, this person, she's looking for a video editor. Like, would you be interested? And so at the time, I remember thinking, you know, I feel like this is kind of like a turning point for me, and I'll take this opportunity. So Jake's assistant was Erica Costell. She's no longer with Team 10. I was with her for, I'd say, less than a year. I want to say it was 8 months. And so she ended up following Jake's footsteps. And so what she did was daily vlogging. So very quickly, my job went from video editor to basically like the one-man band. So I did daily vlogging with her for from like end of June till last week of February, which is just daily vlogging that many days in a row is not a vibe for anyone.
I was gonna say that is
on camera. It's not fun for anyone.
we had a little stint of multiple podcasts a week, like just like mini episodes to try to get a little extra
fill the gap.
Yeah, we knew we weren't going to be able to do every single week otherwise if we didn't get in the mindset of like recording. It's a lot. I mean,
dude, and when I say daily vlogging, like I literally mean 245 days straight.
And what do you do on the days where you're really not doing anything? You're just like, I'm on my couch today.
You're literally like just trying to figure out like what
can I do?
Can we offer our audience
in
like the least amount of effort? Rightfully so. I mean,
let's make a banana bread.
Like, yeah, totally. So it was and let me tell you, at that time in my career, I was, you know, just still getting started. It was still what I stopped going to school to really work on like strengthening my skill sets in filming and editing fall 2015. So it was only 2 years since I really took the leap that I was like, deep dive into daily vlogging. So that alone really helped speed up the learning curve when it came to just enhancing my skill sets. As anyone in any role, you're always just looking to do better. So I was able to like really hone in on shortcuts as far as like Premiere Pro, like, just like things that you pick up along the way, like what makes filming a lot easier and simpler, like what is going to help us get this project done in, the best timing, as well as also it just really made me a really fast editor. But so that ended up being, again, like for anyone, daily vlogging is just like not a long-term thing. Like it's just not, it's not healthy. So around that time is when Erica was slowing down with daily vlogging. Everyone was burnt out. And so around that time is when I was like, you know what, I want to go corporate. Like very quickly, I learned that the influencer space is the Wild West. There is it's just not good for anyone. I mean, it's good for the influencer, but I mean, seriously, I mean, companies have HR for a reason. And so at that point in time, I was looking to go corporate, and I thought, like I've really built my portfolio with my PGI contract, my one-off clients, working with Team 10 and Erica. Like I have notability now. I don't think I will be judged at this point in my career for not having a degree. Because keep in mind, 2016, 2017, really up until 2 years ago, I was incredibly self-conscious because I didn't have a college degree. I mean, I was afraid that I was not being, I wouldn't be chosen for a role because I didn't have a college degree at that point in time. Like I was really, I still wasn't 100% confident in what I was doing.
Right. I could see how that happens. I mean, especially in the age of, we were talking about LinkedIn before we started the episode, but you're going against candidates and you look at their profile and they're like, totally. I went to blah, 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 marketing school program, whatever.
Yeah. So I felt completely self-conscious at that point in time, but all I knew was that I wanted the people kind of like joke about corporate, about how like whatever rat race, please. The influencer world is the rat race.
Oh yeah.
No winning in that space. And so I just knew, I'm like, look, I want work-life balance. I've worked 245 days straight doing daily vlogging. I want all of like the pros that come with corporate America.
I want a 401k.
I want 401k.
I want paid time off, damn it.
Health benefits. I want PTO. Like
that's all Steph.
That's me. That's my side.
Yes, absolutely. But
and I take advantage of it.
But funny enough, I was it's so funny because I was ready to go corporate, and my best friend at the time, who had judged me for dropping out of school, like now was starting to believe in me and what I was doing. And so she had sent me a Snapchat. She was like, I know that you want to go corporate. However, there is this up and coming influencer who's looking for a creative director. He's one of the only makeup artists on the internet right now. And I bet you could really help him out. And I'm like, who is this James Charles?
Everyone knows who he is now.
And I just remember at the time he was at like 1.5 million. He was just like still new. He had just graduated high school. He had posted the Snapchat being like, I live in downtown LA and I'm looking for a creative director, head of operations. Like I need someone to like get me in gear, and like I can barely post one YouTube video a month, and like I just really hope this person can like lead creative strategy, like kind of be like a one-man band, my right-hand person. And you know what? I was like, damn, again, I feel like this is like something that probably be good for my career right now at this point in time. So I ended up writing him an email, and I basically pitched why he would want me on his team and why I should lead creative strategy for him. And I also gave him a prescription. I was like, hey, like I noticed that this is what you're doing on your YouTube channel. I noticed that you posted a video and you weren't monetizing it. Why? Or I noticed that you had one mid-roll in a 20-minute video. I mean, hey, we don't want too many mid-rolls in a video, but this is your full-time job. You should put in like at least 2, if not 3. Like your viewers are going to understand if it's every 10 minutes. So long story short, he was doing this like whole like competition for who to hire. He ended up hiring me out of, I think it was like 20 applicants.
Oh,
And
that's not a lot. That's pretty good
well,
odds.
well, they had a whole email. So the 20 applicants were their final.
Okay.
They had an email
gosh.
designated to finding this person. And it was,
Aw.
they said there were hundreds of submissions, but so I was in the top 20. And so I ended up getting hired. And so I led everything, basically. I did
Oh my
creative direction, creative
God.
strategy. Obviously, James had his own ideas, but truthfully, I mean, just like anything, you are nothing without your team. And so it really, we went from him barely being able to put out 1 video a month to, God, I mean, we were putting out 2 to 3 videos a week. So it was
Wow.
very
Wow.
exciting to be a part of that growth. I mean, again, I met him and he was maybe at 2 million, at most borderline 3, from March 2018 till September 2018. So same calendar year, March to September, he was at 15 million. So, and that
Wow.
was on Instagram
That's
and on
insane.
YouTube. So being able to be a part of that growth from like basically him growing a complete whole of maybe like 30, 40 million, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube combined.
Wow.
Okay, my question is what set you apart from the other people? Did he ever tell you like why he went with you? Because I mean, you're so well spoken, and I'm sure all these other people being in LA, you know, if they're in that same mindset, like they're used to those type of interviews and those type of people. So like what really like set you apart from everybody else?
Totally. So definitely having worked with Team 10 was like my standout factor at the time. In addition to just like my creative strategy and prescription that I so forwardly provided to him, knowing that he could very well just read the email, not respond, and take my suggestions and use them for himself. So I'd say definitely having worked with Team 10, putting out 245 daily vlogs. And also, I mean, I really went in, when I say this email that I sent, I mean, it had to have been a 2-pager email of me just, you know, pitching creative strategy to him. And
If you find it, email it to us.
yes,
I want
oh
to
my
read it.
gosh, totally. It was, it's probably long gone by now, but it was just, it was the pitch of all pitches. And I
Yeah.
remember sending it to my best friend at the time. And she was like, don't you think that's like too much?
A
Like,
little aggressive.
couldn't you like not be telling him that he should be doing better? And it's like,
That's
that's what sets
yeah,
us
that's what
apart.
your job would
Yeah,
be.
and that's what he
Yeah.
wants. That's what he is hiring somebody
Totally.
for, you know?
100%. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I was polite when I said it.
100%.
Yeah. Wow, a
100%.
2-pager, that is bold. You are just the queen of
Yeah.
bold. Like I'm thinking like, all right, so I'm just traditional. I'm going, we're not trying to go the influencer route. You know, if we have brand deals, that's one thing, but like I'm trying to go the traditional media route, and pitching is like they only got time for 250 words, so you better make it a good 250.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So that is so great.
Short, sweet,
I
and to
love
the
that.
point.
Yeah.
And then okay, so
Heck yeah. That's
so
awesome.
where's this timeline bringing us? Like what year did you decide to change routes? Was it around the pandemic or
So it was actually before. So I had been with James from so like April 20, it was like April, I did a month of freelance for him and then I was hired full-time in March. So I was with him from April 2018 till September 2018. And so he was moving to the Valley. He was going to buy a home. And I kind of had just like an opportunity to either follow through and move to the Valley with him or to, you know, part
And
ways. And
real
so
quick for people not in California, where's the Valley? Because people get confused on where the hills and the valley are.
Well, so it's funny, there's quite a few valleys. So where he was moving, I have no idea because we actually checked out just like multiple valleys, but it's basically like let's see, the ocean, South Bay, which is just like not like considered LA. And then it's like what is it? Marina del Rey, Venice, Santa Monica, Malibu, Palisades, and then the mountains separate you from what is Calabasas and Woodland Hills. And there's also like other valleys up in like northern area of LA. I should know this a little bit better, but I've only spent one summer in the valley and it is
basically north of LA. Is it?
Yeah, and it's also just like it's cheaper. So like if you're gonna buy a home in LA, unless if you're like, I don't know, unless if you're like a very big millionaire, you're gonna buy in the valley because you just get more bang for your buck.
So there we go for you East Coasters and anywhere in between.
Yes.
And other countries sometimes.
I kind of butchered it, but yeah, the valley, like when anyone is like trying to hang out in LA, if you live in the valley, like you got to come to like more central LA or else you're not going to see anyone. Like I don't even like to leave Santa Monica for really anywhere.
I was going to say that's where I'm headed. I forget the valley. Just kidding.
Talking about Santa Monica for like
that's my home.
years.
That's where I did comedy. That's my
totally. But so he was moving to the valley, and so at that point in time it worked out that I was like, I'm gonna go corporate. I'm going corporate now because again, as exciting of a roller coaster this whole influencer world was from summer 2017 leading up to like fall 2018, I was nearing the age where I was going to lose my health insurance. The one good thing I can accredit my dad for is he's a retired firefighter. And so I had health insurance.
Really good.
26, and I'm pretty sure that's the one good thing he's done for us. So at that point in time, I was like, damn, I'm nearing 26. I need to be able to have health insurance and I just want to set myself up for success. So I was nearing like, I think it was like 2 years out from losing my health insurance. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go corporate.
You plan ahead. Yeah. What the heck?
I love it.
Well, so like, I just didn't
I know people that like lose it and then they're like, oh shit, I guess I should get a job now. It's like it's so good. That's what sets you apart. You plan ahead for this stuff.
Totally. Like, I'm like, I already dodged the student loan debt. Like I'm not about to get really screwed over with medical debt because that can get pretty messy.
That's a whole nother thing.
Totally. And I mean, of course, that's still just an unfortunate statement in and of itself is that, you know, that even has to be a worry. But being that this is the structure that we live in the United States, I was like, I need to go corporate so I can have health insurance and be set up for success. Funny enough, while I was interviewing for jobs, which again, keep in mind, I only knew the influencer space. I didn't even know really what digital marketing was, like from like direct response marketing, like advertising perspective. But I guess I ended up applying to a bunch of agencies. I literally didn't even know what an agency was at the time.
Like a marketing agency?
Marketing. So I applied to a bunch of jobs, which also included just like in-house opportunities, D2C brands. So just like, you know, a product being sold by a company. I was applying to those companies. I ended up getting a meeting with an agency. They're called Mute6, Mutesix. And so they were in the, it's not the Silicon Valley. There's like some, never mind. There's just like some like valley, like Silicon something in LA. And like, that's where the agency was. And it's basically where like Sony is. It's like in the Howard Hughes Center. It's like, it's a really nice area. And so I applied to the job and I ended up getting an interview, was really excited. And I ended up getting hired as a video editor. At the time, I didn't know what direct response digital marketing was. So I was just like, look, I did it in the organic social space. I can't imagine it being that much different. I'm willing to learn. So just like, you know, I made it this far in my career. I'll make it happen. But coincidentally enough, when I accepted the job, they were like, can you start Monday? And I was like, oh, actually, I just got hit up for next week. I'm being flown to Japan for a Google Pixel event because I was being flown out by Ava Gutowski, My Life is Ava. So I filmed her like recap reel or video from Japan. So I got flown to Japan, did a whole project there with Google Pixel, and like Brent Rivera, I don't know, they're more big for like Gen Zers or just like younger kids. But I ended up getting the job at the agency. And then even though I said I was leaving the influencer realm, I got hit up by Ava's manager and was like, we need someone to go fly to Japan and like film a recap video. Can you
Just
go?
a
And I was
casual
like,
flight to Japan.
You're always, yeah, you're always on call
I
with
was
the
just like,
influencer
sure,
life.
why not? Like, I've never worked with Ava. She seems cool. Like, let's do it. So I ended up accepting the job at the agency that October, and then started when I got back in town from Japan. I was a contractor for like for the last part of the year, basically to just like make sure for both parties that we're happy with the agreement as far as like this full-time opportunity. The reason why I ended up going full-time like a little bit earlier than the original agreement with the company was because Ava's team really wanted to hire me full-time as her executive producer of her YouTube channel. And I was just like, guys, I'm a contractor right now at this agency. They just offered me a full-time job like for Ava Gutowski's YouTube channel. If you give me a full-time offer right now, like, and if you match what they're asking for, I'll take the job here and I will not leave. So they ended up expediting my employment, which was nice because as tempting as it was, and honestly, I really enjoyed working with Ava. She was probably like the most down-to-earth influencer I had ever worked with or interacted with. I just knew that
You're like, let me just be in an office.
Yeah, just let me be corporate, damn it.
and it's so funny because when I first stopped going to school,
Most people run away from that, and you're like the opposite.
Exactly. And I thought that corporate America was going to be so lame, which is why I wanted to work with influencers. But honestly, I personally ended up figuring out very quickly within those 2 years that it's just, it's so unregulated. And it's just like people who are employed by these people, it's just, it's not the same as corporate America. That's what I'll say.
You either like it or you don't.
Totally.
Are you still with that agency now, or was that like a short term?
I was with them for a calendar year. They actually were the reason why my boyfriend and I met and why we're together and why we're partners for life. So it's kind of cool. I feel like at the time when I turned down the Ava opportunity, something in my heart was telling me that I needed to really go corporate for a reason, for many reasons. And one of those reasons ended up being meeting Shane like 6 months later. He started at the company that following July. And I swear to God, the second I laid eyes on him, I just had never felt what I felt when I saw him. It sounds literally like, that sounds silly,
so
but I swear on my life, like I tell him that all the time. I'm like, literally the second I like saw him, I just fucking knew it. I don't know if I can curse, but I just knew it.
We don't.
Yeah, we've been cursing the whole time.
I just knew it. So I was with them for a calendar year. Things kind of ended up going a little sour with them just because, I don't know, like just the way that the agency was being run wasn't necessarily like the most ideal for like a creative in the creative department.
I hear that. I'm more like the talent side for marketing agencies, and I've had my little taste of the contract life, and that's where I decided just put me back on the field because it's just not my cup of tea, but it is a lot of people's. It's way more consistent.
But it's funny though, because like even though like it was a good opportunity and like it was my first taste of corporate America, and I did end up going full time with them like after a few months of being the contractor like route. It just, it ended up just like kind of going sour. And then at that time, I got approached by a women's e-com brand, which I was really excited about because all my clients that I had at the time at Meet Six was like women's brands, so women's fashion, beauty, skincare. And I was like, oh yeah, like I could totally like go in house for this women's like fashion e-com brand and I'll kill it. And it was for a senior producer role at that point. Like, even though in the influencer space, I was like creative director and head of operations for these influencers, it really didn't like hold that much weight in corporate America because they're like, yeah, you work for like one person and they called you creative director, whatever. So I kind of was starting fresh in corporate America, even though I really like, they also though knew the gravity of like the efforts that I held in that space, but I kind of had to start over. So when I was at Mute 6, I was a senior video editor. And then when I got approached by this women's e-com brand for fashion, I was offered a senior producer role. And so it's for the brand called Opali.
I don't know if I've heard that.
So they're like,
I've heard of it.
They're like Fashion Nova. Honestly, looking back, it was such a shit show. They're like, COO reached out to me and was like, a lot of people call us fast fashion, but like, here's all the information about like our environmental, like whatever efforts. Later on, I learned that they were greenwashing. And I mean, when I tell you they were greenwashing, like someone spilled coffee at a shoot one day, and instead of getting a paper towel like a normal human being, they took a dress off the rack.
No,
cleaned the top off the ground. Two dresses.
They're like, we're that rich. What the heck? I don't even
know.
know.
That, or they're like, our shit is trash anyway, so we could just wipe this.
I mean, hey, you're not wrong. It was funny because I was with them for like under 6
no one's gonna wear this,
and I was like, peace. And they knew they had fucked up too, because they were trying to get me to sign an NDA before I left. And they were like, we're gonna withhold.
Never do that. Never do that.
They were like, oh, we're gonna withhold your salary. And I was like, been through this before. Like, do you really want to get a letter from an attorney?
Yeah.
And they were just like, fine, like, here's your paycheck. And then later on, when it was tax season, they tried to tell me that I was a freelancer and not an employee. And I was like, bitch, I accepted a full-time employment contract. Again, do you want a phone call from an attorney?
Yeah, wow. Even with an HR team, they were doing that. Oh no. Oh no.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
it's
pretty crazy, honestly. Like, I've had like some pretty wild employment experiences. Some I can't talk about, some I can, but
it makes for a great life. Exciting.
Yeah, well, and also makes you appreciate the good times. But and then I'll let you guys have some room to talk. I do want to share this one thing, which I think is so funny. So I resigned from this, like, and again, like, I was making at Opali the most I'd ever made before. And so I was just like, oh my God, am I really about to resign from this position because it's that toxic? Like, their other producer at the team
literally
and
toxic.
CEO were like, they were literally toxic. Like, they were bullies.
Oh my
God. They would bully me. Like, it was so bad. And the CEO and the producer now have babies. I'm like, save your babies, because you guys are literally the mean girls of women and your poor child. But I ended up resigning from the position a week before quarantine. And so I entered the pandemic having newly given up my salary and not knowing what the state of the world was gonna be like.
My God.
Oh God.
That is so crazy. So
I feel like your timing for everything is like
just
crazy.
I mean, but I think it goes back to the fact that, like, okay, so I'm getting better at this, but like planning, sometimes not my jam in all aspects. Like, I'm like, it'll work out. But I mean, this year is the first time I'm like, I'm gonna actually stop paying on my credit card, or like paying for things on my credit card, so that I can actually pay it down. Like, it's the first, like, okay, I don't have health insurance. Okay, how am I going to create an income for that? Like, this is the first time where I've, before that, it's just like, it's gonna work out, but I wasn't putting in things into place. And I think that is the most important theme, is that you, this whole time, have, things have happened to you where it's like, shoot, I got to turn around and do something new. But like, you already kind of laid the foundation for something new before that shit show happened. So
yeah, Was trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, I sound a lot more responsible than I really am. Like, obviously, I'm not a perfect person. And like at that time, like moving to
It's a
LA,
balance.
I was like
Right.
21. God, so I did some dumb shit,
Yeah.
like financially, like forgetting that I needed to submit information to my insurance. And then like a year later, they're like, you owe us
No,
$12,000.
jeez.
Did I pay them? No, I just prayed it went away. And it's been like 5 years. So I think it's off my credit because now my credit's good. So like I did some like pretty irresponsible shit just because also I was working all the time. I was so busy. So,
Yep.
I will say that I did like plan and prepare, but everyone's just learning as they
Of
go.
course.
And,
I think it's a good balance though, because like we're still young. We're all 26, 27.
Totally.
So obviously like we're in that mind space now where it's like, okay, corporate, like we need to have 401ks, we need to have, health insurance, but it's also like, I mean, you don't want to die at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to die and just be doing the same thing. You want to kind of like live a little bit. So I think being in the middle and being balanced and making mistakes and then learning from them, I think that's a big part of it anyway.
Totally. And like you mentioned 401k, like I haven't even put any money in my 401k. And I know that's just like, oh my gosh, but I'm just like, man, I'm just like, give me like one more year. Like my company's max first opportunity and it's really not even that great. So like I'll put it into crypto in the stock market.
There you go. You choose your priorities.
We'll spin it some way. It'll be fine.
Totally.
So
where are you now? Like we've heard about your changing of jobs, like influencer side, corporate side. So where does that leave you now? What's your projects?
I feel like this is where the whole like path started crossing again, because I was like starting to be on LinkedIn more, and I was like, oh my gosh, your stuff was popping up a lot on my LinkedIn because we're always talking about like common themes or looking at common themes, a lot to do with. Now it all makes sense on why you were looking into like company culture and things of that nature, and how am I going to take care of myself? We were like kind of just parallel paths. Pandemic hits, everybody's fucked except for Stephanie gets to work at home. So we won't talk about her. Stephanie takes care of us.
That's what corporate life gets you, baby.
So I know that in this time period, you took this as an opportunity to A, start your own business, and B, start to explore more of, hey, instead of creating content for somebody else, why don't I service myself?
Totally. So, going into March 2020, I just resigned from my position at Opoly. COVID hits a week later. We go into quarantine. LA was seriously quarantined for literally a year. So like a year and a half, my boyfriend and I were seriously quarantining. He's considered high risk. I myself have spent more times in the ER than the average person. So even my immune system still was in shock. So I was like, okay, we're going to stay home. We're going to quarantine. I was unemployed for probably 4 months into the pandemic. I started freelancing for the first time really in my career since leaving the organic social space, which was kind of exciting. I got to work on a few different progressive political campaigns, which was really exciting. I helped Nithya Raman get into office in LA, which is really exciting. I said exciting multiple times, but it was exciting because she was the first woman of color in her district. And also I think woman in general to win the district seat, which was really exciting. I was patiently awaiting full-time employment as I was nearing my year mark of losing my insurance. So I was getting very close now to that like kind of like stressful feeling of like what happens if I'm still unemployed when I lose my insurance on my birthday in December of 2020. I had an opportunity come my way. I ended up doing a trial week with Bite, the toothpaste company. So they're like,
oh, I like those.
Very cool opportunity. It was a very small team. I really wasn't looking for too much of a startup vibe just because I'd kind of really only experienced that outside of Mute 6. So I ended up turning down the opportunity, even though I love their product and obviously wish them the best. I ended up finding an agency that had just been newly founded during COVID, which was still considered a startup, but like big money, like Paris Hilton's one of their investors. So I was like, cool, like I'll work here. So while I was working full-time at this agency called Realize, my boyfriend and I were preparing to launch our startup Rootly. And so, like you introduced Rootly, it was the first of its kind, a product discovery subscription service, completely vegan, cold chain delivery. So it featured a curation of frozen, refrigerated, and shelf-stable goods. I speak about it in the past tense only because we closed our beta round in at end of 2021. So we launched, did 1 year self-funded proof of concept. Was very exciting. We learned a lot. It was also very expensive, even though I didn't pay for a college degree. It cost us $50,000 to keep Rootly running for a year. So it was a pretty penny between the two of us. But it was very exciting because within our first quarter of launching, we were able to remove overhead as far as purchasing products wholesale, because we were getting partners who wanted exposure and to get free marketing in our box. So we were actually cutting costs by partnering with really cool vegan brands that were up and coming that couldn't get on store shelves. And also in that first quarter, we were approached by United Airlines. They wanted to do an activation with us. At the time, at the beta round, it really wasn't as doable as, upon receiving seed investment. So we're still connected with them. And also within the first 6 months of launching, a holding company that is publicly traded wanted to acquire us. They wanted to absorb our company because they considered us competition, which was very flattering because we're just like, it's just me and my boyfriend.
That is great.
Yes. So
that's awesome.
It was a really cool experience. It was a lot of work because keep in mind, we're still working full-time careers at that point. I'm working at Realize, the agency. Shane had at that point actually left Mute 6 and agency hopped to Realize. I got him hired at the same agency. So we were both creative strategists leading creative strategy for our clients at that agency while building Rootly on the side and while freelancing part-time in order to self-fund the business. It was a lot of work, but we did exactly what we hoped to accomplish, which was creating a proof of concept and showing kind of like the interest that we got initially from CPG products that were looking for exposure by being featured in our Rootly boxes, from the holding company that wanted to acquire us to United Airlines. And also we were invited to be on Shark Tank. It's not as exciting as one may think, just because you basically give away all your equity for like $100,000 as a startup in our position. So we did our year and we were like, you know what? We did our proof of concept. We accomplished what we had hoped. Let's pause the business, close the beta round, and we will look around for a strategic seed investor that would look to invest, say, like $250,000 into the business. And also, help us strategically, whether they're, connected to other people in cold chain delivery, whatever.
Or they've done it maybe themselves and now they're looking to.
Totally. So
wow.
2021 was really crazy because again, we're juggling agency life, all work from home. So it was really nice. We were able to freelance on the side, building Rootly. But I will say our life got significantly less stressful when we closed our beta round, just because, writing checks that you're like, God damn, there goes $5,000 proudly going into the business. But my God, like that's a down payment for a home. But yeah, so right now Rootly is paused indefinitely just because end of last year, nearing the end of our beta round, I accepted a full-time offer as creative director at 310 Nutrition. So I've been super busy creative directing, leading paid media strategy for the company. Shane's also been really busy because he actually took a new agency job. He's at his third agency, W Promote. He is their enterprise editor. He's also working on a side project in Web3. So he's really into like NFTs and DAOs and all sorts of those things. So he's been really invested in that. So not to say we won't pick Rootly back up, but we are enjoying the break.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if anything, it was a learning curve, you know, because you can
Absolutely.
say you literally built a company from the ground up, just 2 people. I mean, that's
Totally.
insane.
And hey, I
That's
mean,
insane.
there's a reason why like the opportunity for creative director came up was because I could point to a brand that
Yeah.
I led creative direction and creative strategy for, in addition to everything else I've done in the agency space. I mean, when I'm in digital marketing, even on LinkedIn, I don't even mention that I've worked for influencers just because brands really don't care that much for the space I'm in. Like they care more about the fact that I worked with Sweetgreen or worked with Hopper or am the creative
Yeah.
director at 310 Nutrition, stuff of like
Yeah.
that. And then so basically I kind of had a wake up of like, oh my God, I'm leading this like self-funded business. Why am I not creative director at this point in my career? So it really kind of like woke me up to realizing my true value that I offered. And then the opportunity came my way. So it ended up working out all for the best. Again, not to say that we're not going to pick Rootly back up, but it definitely, we both accredit our recent successes end of 2021, early 2022 to having built Rootly.
Wow. That is
That's
so
amazing.
inspirational. I love bringing on people that just really I don't know if this is the way we should say it, but take life by the balls. And that's I mean, we've said it before
Oh
on this show.
yeah.
But you know, it's like you
Cheers
can't
to that.
Totally.
yeah, you
100%.
can't wait for the opportunity. You can't wait for like your big break or whatever in whatever field you're in. You know, creative director for you might be, I don't know what it would be for Stephanie. I don't know what her high goals are, but sales queen. You know,
Yeah, I don't
you
know. I don't know
can't
about that.
wait for like the perfect role or to be the perfect candidate. And that is the example of like putting in the work and just making something for yourself.
Diversifying too, like I think that's such an important thing that most people get stuck in the one track mind, right? Like I'm in corporate, this is what I have to do. I have to keep everything along this line. Like doing what you're doing, like I was telling Kayla this last week. This is the year, and apparently last year and other years too, for like side jobs and for really like diversifying. Like you don't have to just have a one track mind.
Mhm.
You can like put, some of your time into this, some of your time into this, and bloom different things, and then you'll just you'll see what you like, you'll see what you dislike, and you can kind of take it from there. And I think
Absolutely.
diversifying is just such a big thing, especially in the
Yeah.
corporate world.
100%. And like honestly, like I don't know, it kind of sounds like a little dark, but in this day and age, you kind of have to because like we don't get pensions. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like you
right.
have to kind of like I hate the whole like idea of hustle culture just because it's mentally and physically draining. But I don't know, I have the
Yeah.
sweat equity right now at 27 to be able to do this. And thankfully, I really enjoy it. So I definitely accredit my unwavering just like faith and also like really hard work ethic to the fact that a lot of people see a college dropout still and think not everyone but people will think like oh like it's not really fair that you got into this position because you don't have a degree like you didn't work nearly as hard when really the sole
You
truth
worked
is
harder.
I worked really fucking hard to find a back
Yeah.
door. And like I
Yeah.
had to really prove myself in order to even get entry into that back door. And on top of
Yeah.
that, just because I didn't pay for a college degree doesn't mean that I've had to pay my own because I bought my mom a Subaru. I'm not a Subaru. I bought her a brand new, really nice car last year. Like I paid off her
And you were
debt.
able to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I've definitely put out six figures to be able to clean up my family's situation. And it's
Yeah.
like, like just because someone doesn't pay for a college degree doesn't mean one, that they don't have the work ethic. Actually, you'd be surprised. Like, obviously, people go to college and they have the work ethic. But I mean, truthfully, me not going to school has, and I say it in my LinkedIn, is at once it felt like my kryptonite. But like, truthfully, it's my strength. It's what really sets
Yeah.
me apart from other candidates.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love that.
I think a lot of people kind of use college as like a tap out, like, oh, well, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be successful. My mom told me to do this, so I have to do it. But it's like, really, like, what do you
Yeah.
want to do?
Yeah,
And
that's what
you like,
matters most.
you stuck by that. You're like, I don't think this is right for me. I'm going to go a different route and we're going to see what happens. And in your case, it was a fucking
Yeah,
great
we
success.
thought we had to
So,
study
you know?
biochemistry, and it turns out we just want to do business. We're in the
Mm-mm.
business of doing business.
And business is
Exactly.
it's all who you know and how you
Yeah.
carry yourself. You don't have to get a degree for that, you know, like
100%. And
if
if
you're
you're,
well spoken and you're
uh,
you're just, you know, you got it regardless.
well, thank
So
you. And definitely the whole LinkedIn commentary, like I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn is incredible for networking. And like, truthfully, I hold more value in LinkedIn than I do my Instagram. It's just like the networking opportunities are unreal. And it's just like something where it's like, just, be your most authentic self. Don't don't listen too much to what other people think or say, and like pay attention to the people that have what you want, most importantly, because if you listen to the people who are just like in your life, it's like, obviously, like, hold respect for what they think, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to take your advice unless if you have what I want.
Right.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Everybody's in some form doing a transaction.
People solicit advice all the
Yeah.
time though. It's like,
Yes.
whatever.
Oh my God.
What works for you is not
Yeah.
going to work for me. It's fine.
Absolutely. 100%.
So one more question for me. I know we only have a couple minutes left. Where do you see this going in the future? Like, what does your next year, 2 years look like for you, or what do you want it to be?
Oh, that's a
I
good
guess.
question. Well, so we're actually moving from Santa Monica to Bend, Oregon next month. So we're really excited about that. We want
That's
to
cool.
leave this city. We got everything we wanted from it. I truly, as much as I gripe about LA, just having lived here since 2016, just like anywhere you live there long enough, you have like pain points. This city really gave me every opportunity. I don't think I could have ever gotten what I got out of it anywhere else in the world. And so I look forward to starting a new chapter and being able to focus on myself, my relationship, just have more space. I mean, it's so expensive for what we're paying, $4,000 a month for 900 square feet. I mean, it's crazy. We're going to save $1,000 a month, get double of what we have right now. I look forward to growing my roots at 310 Nutrition as their creative director, helping scale their paid media and lead creative strategy, as well as also continue to build my freelance business, which I didn't even really mention, but user-generated content has been really catching wind. I know I talked to Kayla about this over text message, but yeah, my freelance business for basically doing what I do at 310, which is leading creative strategy, but also creating UGC content. It's shown to be very promising, and I'm actually on track to make more than my six-figure salary at 310. So I'm just like very excited at being able to just like,
Wow.
just like kind of reap the benefits of the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours I put in early on in my career that I really didn't get anything in return.
Yeah, it's all paying off. It takes a long time. I mean, this goes to show, it doesn't matter if you went to school, it doesn't matter, while you spent let's just say what I have to do math. Oh my gosh. 9 years.
5.
Let's just say
Oh, yeah,
9 years since you left high
Since
school, and you
graduation.
had that whole journey of figuring out, even just figuring out that like family is so important to you, and then building on that, and how am I going to sustain myself and my family, and then leading into your creative endeavors and your entrepreneurship. Like it takes time. It really does take like 10 years for something to take off, of hustle. I mean, I don't want to use like the grind bro
And
grind bro
it,
mentality,
like,
but like everyday dedication to like, I need to achieve this it's just incredible to see it happening and like where it's going.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I totally feel the same way. And I mean, I love what you guys are doing. And I wish you guys the best of luck with what you're doing as well. And I just feel like I, if there's anything like for me to just take away from this after just doing that reflection is like, I'd also like just to add that, even in the times where I've made the most money in my life, I haven't been the happiest. So honestly, when I moved to Bend, it's really to focus on my mental health and to make sure that I'm being happy, because just because my bank account is bigger than what I had growing up as a child, and having that level of just like fear and limitation, doesn't mean that that equals happiness. And so that's something that I'm also just really trying to unlearn and like also reteach myself, is just like, like I also have to make sure that Kelly, outside of my accomplishments, is doing just as good, if not better, than those accomplishments.
Yeah. Wow, that is amazing.
Absolutely.
We're gonna leave it
Preach.
on that, because that is just the most powerful. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that
Yeah.
in this episode.
So nice
So
having
nice
you
having
on,
you.
girl. You're
Aw.
like a breath
And
of
and
fresh
to
air.
follow,
Seriously, there's not too many people that have that mindset.
yeah,
So that's
for real. And that's
awesome.
why we have people like that on here, is to share that, because we get bogged down with the same voices over and over. And it's time for us to share
And the
our
same
voices.
expectations, but
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
share whatever social media real quick so people can follow you if they want to check on
Totally.
you.
handle.
So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's Kelly Rocklein. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's official Kelly Rocklein. I wish it could just be Kelly Rocklein, but Instagram won't let me change it.
And that's
Oh no.
KELLY, and then it's
Yes.
ROCKLEIN. So,
Yes.
we love the different spellings. All of our names are special, and so we got to spell it out for people. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Kelly.
Yeah, of
Thank you
course.
so much,
Thank you for
Kelly.
having
And thank you
me.
guys for joining in and listening. Hope you guys got something out of it. That was such a good
That was
combo,
so
though.
good. I mean, that's why I'm excited to bring on guests, because they really do just flesh out what we're trying to do on our podcast, which is just like share these unique perspectives and outlooks on life and people's different paths. I mean, there's just no one way to do life.
And humble beginnings make for the best
They
people.
do, they
to be
do. And
honest, so.
I always saw that in her too. I mean, hopefully we'll continue to bring on guests that are just good people, just good souls. Eventually we'll get to the point where we don't know the guests prior to bringing them on. So there's no way of really gauging that. But so far, our track record has shown that we really have brought on people that are just beautiful souls.
Yeah. Like good in what they do, obviously good in their career, but also just good people, period. Like that's what we want to promote. Like you can, like Kelly said, you can make a lot of money, you can have a nice job, but at the end of the day, like, are you happy, or are you putting out the goodness in the world that, that deserves to be there? Like it's just a balance. There's so much to it.
Well, we're going to catch everybody next week. We have, I think, a week off from guests, but we're going to jump right back into it on May 9th. I have another great soul in the entertainment space that's coming. And I feel like there's a recurring thing: people who travel, people who leave their hometown, people who pursue their dreams. So let's keep that going. But next week we're gonna have a really fun episode. Stephanie and I are gonna just like dive a little bit deeper into ourselves, into our DNA, and we're gonna talk about
Ooh, I actually want to take like the ancestry
do
thing.
it. I don't know if you'll get results in time.
I'm
but
thinking about
continue to rate us 5 stars. We haven't said this in a while. It really does help the show grow. And now we're kind of finding our voice. It's only going to get better. So we're really excited for that.
Yes. It's on the
And
up
we love
and
you
up.
all for being here, checking out the show.
Love you guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. It was, I think, definitely top 3.
Yeah,
I loved
definitely
it.
top 3.